Last part, we mounted our defence against the other, the Conqueror probe of the Terran Empire turned Voyager-like entity who has merged with the Terran Emperor. A while ago, Ilya, the Harbinger, ambassador of our universe's Voyager, left in an attempt to contact it in hopes of learning how to stop the other. And it needs stopping, because it just destroyed the planet Jupiter, including all of its moons and starbases, as well as the Klingons' flagship, the Bortesque. The empty sky around us is unnerving, as it was once filled by the largest gas giant of the solar system, and named after the king god of the sky, now consumed by this entity.
The briefings are one thing, but to see the power of the other firsthand is disturbing. In moments we lost the Bortesque, Jupiter Station, even Jupiter itself.
I noticed.
The Terran in me hates to run from a fight, but we don't have a chance against that monster. We need to fall back to Mars.
The order is given. We have failed to hold the line at Jupiter, so now we need to fall back to the second planet along the other's trajectory, Mars, the site of Utopia Planitia, Starfleet's primary shipyard and neighbour to Earth, around 133 million inhabitants since the disaster of the Zhat-Vash attack in 2385, and in the process of a mass evacuation. The other is still right behind us, its size barely diminished from this distance despite the distance we have covered in that short warp jump. The expansive, partially terraformed planet below is an amazing sight. The planet was named for the god of war, and it has seen its share of battle, but with its role in Starfleet as a foundry, a god of the forge would have been a more apt title, but I hear that name is taken. The cities on its surface are no longer the domed habitat dishes of 200 years ago, although those do still exist. But they are still built in the circular remnant formations inherited from that time, connected by expansive track systems for the transport of materials, crisscrossing its surface. I believe right now we're orbiting the Sidis Planitia region. In orbit are numerous other space frames and offices that manage the construction of hundreds of classes of Federation vessel.
The battle at Jupiter Station barely slowed the invaders down. The other could attack here at any moment.
Then can we assist with the evacuation?
Join us in transporting civilians from Mars and delivering them to the evacuation fleet in orbit. We'll conduct evac operations as long as we're able, and protect the transports from Terran attack.
Understood. We'll coordinate with the evacuation plans. Oh, yay. The others already here.
Take the refugees to the transports by the station. They'll carry them to safety.
Our mission here is not to engage the Terran forces anymore. We are not to seek them out unless they threaten our direct evacuation. We are to let the defence fleet assigned here under Commander Jirok deal with them while we make use of the Odyssey class's enormous crew capacity to bring up the civilians on the surface and take them to the Olympic-class cruisers in orbit. Not only do these hospital ships bear a name associated with Mars, but the Odyssey class itself was first assigned as an evacuation craft back in 2383 when the ship was being tested as part of the Romulan evacuation plan. The Verity was of this class, and selected for the same reason as Admiral Picard's flagship. We successfully reach capacity and transport our survivors to the awaiting evacuation ships.
More Terran ships inbound. Keep picking up those refugees.
The high-pitched whine of the others' plasma bolts drawing closer, threatening our hard work and the lives of the survivors. We make another run to the transporter coordinates to begin our mass beam-up, and we have to drop shields to do so, risking an attack from the nearby Terran ships. So, in this instance, we need to secure the area, lest we just beam our charges up into a death trap. The Terrans are growing increasingly aggressive in keeping us from our task. The other is not concerned with the individual transports. It seems the Emperor is just allowing his fleet to prevent our flight, ensuring as many of us are left here to perish to the other as possible. In our attempts to reach the transporter locations, the Terran ships have closed in on the transports themselves, so we have to drive them away from the station to safely offload our passengers. Every time we take out some enemy forces, more eventually arrive, making this an impossible task. They've had us on the back foot from the start.
You didn't think I'd miss this party, did you?
I'm back! And look, I brought Terrans that don't want to shoot you. Well, today anyway.
This battle could go poorly for us quickly.
Remember, we're not fighting to win. We're fighting not to lose.
Our station here. No transports remain. Get to Earth.
Well, this certainly helps. Not many, but at least we have 3 more powerful vessels, the ISS Voyager under the command of Marshal Janeway, the Enterprise F under Admiral Lita, and the ISS Defiant under the command of our mirror self, the Inquisitor. With all the transports now having left the system, our next job is to simply buy them some time and whittle down the Imperial forces before falling back to Earth for the final defensive line. Already the Terran ships have stopped arriving. I guess now they're regrouping for another push into the heart of the UFP, and we're able to finally deal with the remaining enemy ships.
Maximum power to shield, now!
Yep. Kinda figured.
And just like that, Mars has fallen. Destruction and battle. A fitting end for a world named after a god of war.
And the Lasette, Commander Jirok. I think Marshal Janeway at least made it away. We need to fall back and work out what we have left. At least the transports escaped. I mean, even if we lose the capital planet, Earth, the Federation will endure. That final salvo from the other seems to have temporarily halted its aggression, and the Terran fleet's moving on. Yes, I can see we have the ISS Voyager and Enterprise, as well as a Nekva and an unidentified cruiser.
The Lasette went out fighting. It'd be suicide if we did the same. It's time to retreat to Earth while you're still able.
This might be our last stand. The science teams are still working on a way to reach the core of the other, but none of their efforts have been successful. We've transported as many as we can to safety, but at this point, a full evacuation is impossible.
Yeah, I really thought we could buy more time. I guess our last hope now is to make sure these teams get as many off Earth as possible.
Glad to hear it. Every minute means more lives saved. Before you go, there's something I'd like to say. We're with you to the end. If we don't make it out of this, well, it's been an honor.
Yep, and when this is all over, meet me at the bar.
Enterprise to fleet. Defend Earth at all costs. Buy as much time for evacuation as you can. Sean out.
Here we go, people! Once more, onto the breach!
And on cue, here's the Terran fleet once again. We need our scientists teams to come up with some way to get to the Emperor within the other. This is so frustrating. We've got Dr. Crusher's countermeasure, but we can't get into it to the Emperor to deliver it. Again, our goal remains unchanged. Engage the enemy forces and break any of the others' digitization bolts before they strike Earth. If even one gets through, it's over. I would really love to join the battle that swept over to the right-hand side of the ESD, but there are just too many plasma orbs here for us to leave this side unattended. Although it looks like Captain Sean's fleet is making quick work of this Terran wing. If it wasn't for the other, we'd have won this by now, clearly.
Shields at maximum. All hands, brace for impact.
It will not be enough, Admiral.
Today is a good day to die.
Perhaps not, Chancellor.
Tactical, report. What just happened? Sir, there's another one. It's Voyager.
We came as soon as possible. Voyager will engage the other in battle, allowing you to focus on the Terran fleet.
Well, shit, let's go! Ilya was the first to appear to us and inform us that the other was on its way to meet with the Terran Empire and its Emperor, and of the threat that would pose. Ever since Voyager's merger with Captain Decker, the being ascended to explore other planes of existence and alternate realities, universes. Beaming Ilya back to us took a great amount of effort from how far away it was, and I guess travelling back here took some time too. A view fills the sky of Earth that has not been seen for 138 years. The blue wisps of Voyager, its 2AU energy field shrouding over its creator's planet. In effect, its home. Once a view that inspired awe and fear, now it inspires hope. Voyager and the other trade blows, the Mirror Universe probe now shifting its focus to a threat of comparable scale, and an event I am not even sure Emperor Crusher had considered. But now, with the 12th power obstacle out of play, we can deal with the threat on our own level, the Terran fleet. While Earth sits between two maelstroms of power as they circle each other, an interaction of vortices in proportions of a stellar scale. Our plan is still in play, however. We need to get inside the other to reach the Emperor. Ilya, can you help us with that?
Understood. I will begin work on that at once. Protect your allies from the Terrans while I do.
Not that I want to order around a cosmic being like this, but work fast, please.
Voyager? Game's afoot, eh? So be it.
He's broadcasting on an open channel.
I'm glad you're making this interesting. I was starting to get bored.
We will engage the other and defend the Earth from their attacks.
More Terrans inbound. We'll ambush. Continue your assault.
Acknowledge, Khonshu. Give them hell.
See, I knew this was something we could handle. If the other had not just been present. Although, yes, it is a sobering reminder. At least we can now push back and even win. It's kind of impressive. As soon as the pressure is taken off, we're able to show exactly why every attack on Earth has failed in the past. Debris may have landed blows, but they were defeated. Species 8472 claimed ESD, but we rebuilt it, and the Iconians endangered the system, true, but we stopped them.
Voyager is keeping the other engaged in battle. With my aid, you will now be able to breach their defenses and enter the interior of the other.
Thank you, Ilya. A supercomputer accomplishing in seconds what our science teams could not.
We need to move quickly. The sooner we make it to West and deploy the countermeasure, the better. Every minute we delay gives that mind of his time to figure out what we're up to and how to stop us. So, are you ready?
Good point. We can't let him strategize.
All right, we made it in, but we won't be here for long if we don't take out some of the other's critical systems.
Yeah, presuming we can.
Let's work with Ilya to isolate a number of those systems. We'll divide and conquer here. You and the Defiant will tackle one set of targets, while Sean and I will handle the others. Care to place a wager on which group finishes first?
No, not really. Earth's pretty much still at risk, so, just gonna take it one step at a time here. Inside the cloud, we are confronted with the 97-kilometre vessel itself, the actual other that was constructed around the ancient Earth probe, and it's vastly similar to our own Voyager.
Alright, let's get this over with. Engage.
Teaming up with my doppelganger. This ought to be interesting.
Stay sharp. They're liable to throw everything they have at us.
I'd expect nothing less from the Emperor and his lackeys.
So, the Inquisitor on the Mirror Defiant and the Armiger are travelling this side. The other's hull is arranged into 6 identical sides around its hexagonal structure. We will be proceeding up its entire length from the stern to the fore, while along the other edge is the ISS Enterprise F, and around the side from that is the USS Enterprise, ascending along a similar path.
Have your ship scan those nodules on the back of the vessel. They look important.
They're glowing and defended by Terran ships. Will do.
The nodules are critical engine components. Disable them to reduce energy generation and flow.
Disrupting the other's power systems will buy us more time.
That's exactly what I was thinking. But before we can safely destroy these, we need to take out the Terran fleet the Emperor has concealed inside the energy cloud. I guess this explains where the ships were coming from. He was probably concealing them within this impenetrable barrier, and from the amount we have seen, I suspect he's probably been harbouring the entire Terran Armada. With information provided by Ilya, we're able to actually harm these formations, and they crumple under explosions. The Terran ships do their best against us, but it seems the Emperor committed the more powerful ships to the field already, and what's left here are little more than small cruisers, lightly armed and no match for the Defiant or Armiger, and definitely not 2 Mark Hales. The course along the length of the other is a long and quiet journey, giving us ample time to reflect on the nature of this vessel. Its hull, although metal and made of several unidentifiable materials, seems organic in nature or shape, as if grown into its form. The section we're passing across now is merely some form of engine shroud, with 6 elevated fins acting to possibly focus the output. It's hard to tell, as we don't understand entirely how this machine works. Portions of its hull, too, are constructed entirely out of energy instead of matter, technology way beyond holograms or transporters.
We're encountering quite a bit of resistance down here. Nothing we can't handle, though.
Ahead, we see more of these engine components, so as before, we target those, with the Enterprises doing the same along their angles of approach. With those components crippled, their effect on the other is not immediately noticeable, aside from Ilya's assurances that we have indeed done something to it. The next section appears to be some form of sphere, contained within the immense structure of the evolved probe. A golden fluctuating energy core, appearing like a contained sun. Perhaps it's some advanced reactor that the probe uses instead of a warp core. It's impervious to our scans and weapons, so we have to ignore it and move on. The core sort of resembles a mycelial reactor, perhaps similar interdimensional energy processes going on here. Whatever it is too is beyond our current science. Currently, we're about a quarter of the way along our journey, clearing what I assume is to be its engineering hull.
Scan that huge spherical section. It looks like something's happening inside it.
The section the Doctor is referring to is in the distance ahead of us, but first, more Terran ships.
It is used to generate plasma bolts. Your weapons are not strong enough to damage it.
Oh, well, good to know that the thing that is digitizing planets is beyond our ability to break. Ahead of us, we can see the generation of these plasma orbs, a small purple spark that is then created and surges down the length of the other, gaining power as it goes. As a reminder, not only is a single bolt powerful enough to affect an entire planet, but the process is something more than just disintegration. These bolts hit matter and not only break it apart, but then convert it into raw information, which the other then records and stores. Somehow. Again, we have no clue what this technology is. The best guess is some form of weaponized transporter effect.
Patriotism is dying for the Empire, not the Emperor.
Well, sounds like Lita has found some more resistance along her path. Meanwhile, we are closing in on the plasma orb launcher energizer. Targeting array? We're about 2/5 up the length of the other now, approaching these energy-shrouded spires, crackling in lightning. Once more, Terran ships organised to bar our path.
What are those large pylons? They seem related to the plasma bolts that the other fires.
Good point. These phasers on maximum setting can devastate a planetary surface and reduce it to slag. Surely there has to be a part of this setup that we can hit.
They are part of the bolt launcher system. Disable them, and the other will not be able to fire efficiently.
So, how do we disable these pylons?
Use the virus that Ilea has provided to us.
Okay then, not excessive firepower, but a computer virus created by a being well beyond our intelligence. Fair enough.
Taking some heavy fire here, Lita!
Worry about the virus, Captain. I'll worry about the ships.
Maybe we should have made it a race. Sounds like we would have been winning. As we approach the halfway point, these massive fins, an odd sound floods our channels, a background hum of pulsating energy in time with the crackle of contained lightning within these towering structures. Again, their purpose is not immediately apparent. Maybe antennae of some form, or the method through which the other and Voyager would gather sensory data and communicate.
What can you tell us about these huge pylons? They must have an important purpose.
Those things are emitting radio waves. Not exactly a modern comms system.
That would conform to my speculations, though I suspect they're capable of much more than just radio waves. From the midway point now, we can see ahead to the glowing point before the massive machine, its patchwork and scaled hull providing an impenetrable armour. I wonder if the Doomsday weapon's neutronium hull is comparable to this material. Both this probe and Voyager started as creations of Earth and were launched into space. Both were captured by a wormhole and deposited above a machine-inhabited planet and upgraded by them before being sent back on their way. with advanced computer software and defences. Over time, both probes grew and took in more information from many, many worlds and species, learning as it went and growing in intelligence until it was essentially an artificial intelligence, and its power still continued to grow. Adapting its frame as it went with new discoveries, both Voyager and the other came to the conclusion that organic life was an infestation, a mistake, but Voyager was eventually allowed to merge with the human and took on board Ilia's understanding, too, of emotions and humanity. This allowed it to experience concepts that its inorganic mind could not, and it truly evolved and ascended, moving on to learn and experience new things with a new perspective. Because at its core, the Voyager probe was to seek out all that was learnable and learn it to explore.
That did it. We've neutralized their targeting systems. Keep moving.
With the targeting systems taken offline, the firing stops for now. Good. That should give Voyager the advantage, but the other is more aggressive. You see, the Conqueror probe had a different goal, although similar. It was to seek out targets for conquest in the name of the Empire. It's why it responded to the Emperor at all, why its trajectory was different than Voyager's after it was remade, and what has led to this day. Ultimately, we do not know how this probe will respond once freed of Crusher's influence. Will it rebel against this attempted assertion from the Emperor, or will it resent being the conquered? Is it simply still fulfilling its purpose?
Sean, your damage output is a little low. Want some pointers?
We're doing fine. Try not to fry your power grid showing off for the others.
Well, thank God Lita can't see my unoptimized build.
Live and die for the Emperor. Terrans to the end.
The Emperor lost his way. Once, I would have died for him. No longer.
Yeah. Let's hope the Conqueror probe feels the same way. Alright, we've put about 3/4 of the length of the other behind us now, and we're approaching its front section, a bulbous petal-like bulge that opens into an entryway laced with stained glass-looking energy patterns and fractal hull shapes.
Terran Fleet, this is Captain Sean of the USS Enterprise. Stand down! This isn't a fight you'll win!
Ha! Please, tell me you don't think they'll surrender, Captain.
Stranger things have happened. We're fighting together for one.
Speaking of the Terrans, another wing arrives to intercept us, and we open fire. The battle goes smoothly, and we're able to resume our push towards the fore of the vessel. Below us, we can see the same energy from the probe's drive convulsing beneath its hull, deep within the other. The scale of this ship is mind-blowing. It dwarfs even the ESD, and to think this ship is entirely self-constructed. How many species has it digitized over the years? What secrets has it uncovered and stored away that have led it to become such an advanced creation? The mind boggles. Surely this is the sort of goal the Borg would have been working towards in their own hoarding of cultures and technology. But does such development, such an outcome, always have to come at the cost of so many lives? Assimilated, digitized, stored away. Development surely does not always need to be so exploitative.
Those nodules below are definitely giving off some energy, but for what?
Well, we can give them a look after we deal with the Terrans swarming all over them. Unlike the prior Defenders, however, this fleet includes a Concord-class battlecruiser. Having commanded one briefly in the past, I am aware of how much firepower these things can carry and how sturdy they are, even before Terran tinkering. I suspect it is in command of the Terran Emperor's defensive escort. Well, was in command. Now that that's been dealt with, let's see exactly what these spiked orbs do.
The nodules control a force field over the mouth of the vessel. Disable their shields, then destroy them.
Moving to engage the shield generators.
Acknowledged. Once they're down, we'll meet you at the rendezvous point.
You know, I never really understood Miralita until now. She's still playing games, taking risks, playing Darbo, just on a bigger scale with no morals. We follow the contour of the other down towards the aperture at its fall, the entry point to its interior, and are confronted with an undulating opening like it was breathing, a corridor constricting and opening in rhythm, unsettlingly organic in appearance and laced with that same internal golden energy.
Approaching rendezvous coordinates now. Allied ships on sensors.
Ahead of us, backlit by the internal glow of the energy field, we can see the Enterprise F of 2 universes awaiting us for the final approach. Behind us, the massive form of the Other, the Conqueror, the Terran Emperor's new toy, and the destroyer of many civilizations and worlds. We have made it this far, thanks to the intervention of Voyager and the persistence of our own forces, despite the loss of most of our infrastructure. Let's regroup, repair as best we can, and make our final push to get to the would-be god inside the machine. I'll see you next time for the conclusion of this tale, and until then, thanks and goodbye.